Welcome to the Companion Coach Podcast, everybody. This is my space for honest conversations about healing, human connection, sensuality, and all things spiritual growth. I'm your host, Michaela Davis, a spiritual wellness coach, astrologer, former professional companion, and spiritual CEO of my own soul-led business. I'm here to offer you insight, guidance, and truth from a life lived in deep exploration of the soul and the personal self. This podcast is about the real work of becoming, navigating transformation, unpacking desires, challenging outdated systems, and especially reclaiming your voice and your body as sacred. I'll be sharing teachings rooted in astrology, human design, emotional awareness, and embodiment, along with personal stories and lessons learned from the years in the intimacy industry, coaching clients, and walking my own healing path as a woman in leadership. If you're ready to be more connected to yourself and others, spiritually, mentally, and emotionally, you're in the right place. Let's begin. This is the first podcast episode that I'm launching, and this has been something I've been wanting to do for at least 2 years. I've been really withholding on this project. I've been withholding on launching the thing for so many reasons and so many personal dynamics I had to go through in order to finally step in and fully embody the companion podcast and bring to the table, all of the spiritual knowledge and all of the experiences and perspectives that I have gained over the last 7 years, cultivate something that I could find to be enriching and impactful for people who are going to listen or watch, this YouTube channel or listen to this podcast, right? So it's like, oh, Michaela, what is this first episode going to be? Because there's a million topics I could talk about right now. I have so much energy going through my body, through my veins, and through my vessel that it's so hard to just pick one specific topic to open up with, because I can connect the dots between all of the things anyway. So I can extract, 7 other different episodes into this episode, right? But just kind of honing down, niching in on this first episode and what I could bring to the table. I had to sit back today and tried to podcast record an hour ago, and I just had to go for a walk and go get a coffee and ask my higher self, okay, help me direct the message, right? Help me open up. And what actually happened was the reflection of my day earlier today, right? So it's almost 7:00 p.m. on a Saturday, and I'm finally sitting down to record. And I had so many other things come up this afternoon, and it's for a reason, right? Because all of this was meant to bring energy and awareness to a topic that I could open up with, right, for the Companion Coach podcast tonight. So, I had 3 different good friends of mine call me today at various times, and we had very deep talks and discussions about giving. Okay, and so that's what I want to address today, is the art of giving and what it means to give from a spiritual place, right? With spiritual intention, and when we should give our energy away and when we shouldn't. And that can be really difficult to navigate, right? To make those decisions on, is it a spiritual thing for me to give to this person, even though I don't have it, or to give to this job or give to this project, even though I don't have the energy? Or, do I need to pull back? And what is the right choice? What is the answer, right? How do I figure that out, right? So everything is an energy exchange. As we learn to navigate through our human experience, we understand and we can feel that everything is energy. And that's why we can feel so depleted from some things and so energized by other things, because we're constantly doing this giving and receiving exchange with other dynamics in the world. Okay. People, jobs, environments, and so forth. So it's important for us to understand, to make the best personal choices for ourselves when we should give and when we should pull back. Okay. So let's just kind of briefly talk about what giving really is about. Okay. And I extract a lot of my knowledge from the Kabbalah, right? I've been doing a lot of work with the Kabbalah teachings right now, ancient wisdoms passed down, my astrology practice, my human design practice, and my spiritual coaching knowledge that I've gained over the years. And by working with my spiritual teacher, who is, rest in peace, passed away earlier this year, but, now I can become a channel of his light and his vessel as well in my work. Okay. So, really giving, when we are giving our energy away, or we're giving to somebody else, or we're giving to something, we are extracting energy, and we are extracting the light that it takes to put into something, okay, from our higher self, okay? Call it what you want: God, universe, creator, higher self, goddess, okay? This is taking from your own power, right? From your own energy bank, from your own vessel. When you give to your partner, when you give to your children, when you put energy into your job, right? You're extracting from your energy bank, right? And exchanging that and giving that out to something else. So when we often feel depleted, okay, we're no longer extracting the light from God, creator, source, universe, goddess, whatever you want to call it, okay? Because our energy bank is actually endless. When we're giving out of the form of compassion and love, we actually have an endless energy source to give, to provide to something else or somebody else, right? It's freely given because it gives us joy. It gives us fulfillment, right? It gives us a sense of meaning or a sense of purpose, right? But it's coming from a place that vibrates of love and compassion, which are forms of the highest vibrations that we can embody or we can live by. So we can continue to go and go and go, right? People, I don't have a child, right? But I have dogs, so I can kind of relate in some senses, right? But if you have a child, right, you love your child, like that child needs to get up at 3 a.m. because they're scared because they have a nightmare, right? You want to nurture your child, you want to protect your child, you want them to feel safe and secure. You're giving your energy because it makes you, because you have this endless love for that child, right? The intention behind the giving is also always important, because we have to have an intention that this is for that person, place, or thing, their highest good, or it's bringing me some sense of joy to give to this person, right? Like donating. Like I recently just donated a whole bunch of stuff out of my storage unit because I'm getting ready to move next year to Thailand, and giving all of that stuff away instead of holding on to it, even though it required me to clean out the whole entire storage unit. And granted, yes, it's something I have to do, but I don't have to do that for another year. I just felt called in this moment to clean it out now, right? To go there, to pack all the things, to give my decorations away, give nice clothing away. Like I've invested in my wardrobe over the last few years, like very nice pieces. And I just had all these boxes and had all these clothes, and I just let my friends come over, and I was like, take whatever you want, and whatever you don't want, I'm going to donate, right? And that just really gave me some sense of fulfillment and joy, that even though I'm letting go of so much stuff in my current life here in the United States, I'm also sharing that energy of what I built here. It's not so painful because I'm able to give what I was able to receive over the last 7 years or so of stuff, right? That just no longer gives me any fulfillment anymore, right? And I'll go deeper into this in other podcasts of why staying here now in Rhode Island no longer is giving me the same energy that it once did, and the need for the move, right? And the lack of fulfillment here and so forth, right? But this all ties into knowing that giving or choosing to give needs to be because it's a spiritual elevation for both parties involved, okay? So whether it is you and a coworker, you and your boss, you and your job, you and your project, you in your relationship with your partner, whatever it is, you in the place that you live, okay? It can be places, right? You're giving your energy away in these spaces, in these places with these people, these exchanges happening. It needs to be a spiritual elevation for both parties. You will start to feel the resentment towards, let's say this is a relationship, okay? You'll start to feel the resentment towards the relationship when your giving starts to create dependency, right? Or drain or lack of energy, okay? It means that your giving now is creating an imbalance, and there's a spiritual imbalance between both parties. Okay. And that creates a moment for you to actually step back and evaluate, okay, am I giving too much in this thing? All right. Let me give you another example. So, obviously, as the intro stated, and as some people who know me now know that I was a professional companion and had a very successful companionship business for 7 years that was very lucrative, very free of my time. I had so much more time on my hands that I could handle. And I learned a lot about business and coaching and personal development and relationships and intimacy and sex and so forth, right? And new podcast listeners, right? You will learn about this business, and you will learn other things that I learned about this business, and hopefully take the wisdom that is deep, from my experiences over time. Okay. But what was once a business that was giving back to me as well as much as I was giving to it, there started to be a massive spiritual imbalance and a massive resentment within me because I was giving too much of myself on so many levels. And I was not doing it from the light of the creator anymore. Okay. And I'm going to get into the reasons why, because this can apply to you too. If you're in a position where you feel like you're either over giving, or you're feeling depleted, or you're feeling the resentment, or you're feeling the imbalance, right, in your life or in your work partnerships or your job and so forth. Okay. Sometimes we must stop giving also because it is feeding somebody else's laziness, right? Or it's feeding their own ego, right? And that's another sign where that spiritual imbalance will come, it will get knocked off, right? We will become spiritually imbalanced, right? So I was giving to my clients in the beginning of my business back in 2017, 18, 19 even. I felt like I was really helping my clients, right? I felt like I was really helping them find connection and compassion, and that they were lacking in their personal lives, or that, they had lost their significant other and they were lonely, or they couldn't date because dating was too hard, or their partner of 13 years wasn't intimate with them anymore. And like, there's all these levels where I felt this compassion for them. And I would give, as a companion. I would provide that. I mean, that's what I was paid for, right? And I was very good at it. But then I got to this point where I spiritually evolved so much through all of my own education and coaching. I realized that I was just a band-aid for these people that I was giving to. No matter what money I was receiving in return, it was not an equal exchange, and I began to become resentful, like deeply resentful of these people, even though I was doing my job and I would show up and I would put a face on and I would continue to play the role, and I would, take the money in return, and it would pay my bills, and it would put food in my fridge, and it would pay for my coaching, right? And it would pay for my astrology classes and my website and like my business cards. And it helped feed energy into other things that I needed to create to get to this point now. But as the imbalance became stronger and stronger, and my consciousness became more and more aware that my giving was actually hindering and hurting their own growth, okay, feeding into a level of their own laziness, when it came to their personal development and meeting their own needs and facing their own hard truths, right? This was stuff that I had already been through at this point. And I was like, wait a minute, like I am giving so much to them in the wrong ways. I am preventing these people from developing their own spiritual growth, right? I am not supporting their spiritual growth anymore. I am just a band-aid on something. And that's also when we can we can find ourselves giving too much. We have to pull back and we have to realize, am I hurting somebody else? Because that's when that imbalance will come into play. That's when that light of the creator, we will start to feel a lack of that light of the creator, because the creator also knows, like, listen, you're doing too much for these people. It's draining you. And the more you feed into their laziness, or the more you feed into their ego, or the more that you support their victimhood that they're in, because you're giving too much, you're pacifying them, or you're trying to comfort them, right? You're trying to hold them in some space. There can be times when that is needed and that is good, but we must realize when we feel like we're drained, it can be because we're actually feeding somebody else's laziness and we are preventing their own spiritual growth from happening. And that's when that resentment comes into play, right? That's when we become angry with the situation, because then you're getting reflected back at you, somebody who's not doing the growth, and they are just continuing to take from you because you're freely giving. So they'll take and they'll take and they'll take and they'll take from you, and you'll feel more and more and more exhausted, more and more drained. Okay. And you will lose the light of the creator, which is the essence, which is the miracle water that you need to drink in order to keep your energy pack going, right? In order for you to actually keep vibrating something, putting energy into something. Okay. So it's oftentimes a good example of like when to stop giving, right? But you have to take a few moments to ask yourself, am I trying to do the work for the person when the person really just needs to do the work themselves? Okay. So then you essentially are creating a situation where you're robbing somebody of making their own effort to heal themselves. Okay. And we don't want to do that as spiritual beings, as channels of the light, of channels of God, goddess, right? Our higher selves. We don't want to mess with karma, right? We don't want to, and we can create this karmic imbalance as well, right? Where we stop people from owning their own sense of empowerment, right? If you carry your child is trying to learn how to walk, and every time they fall, granted, you don't want them to hit their head on a sharp object or something, right? But sometimes we need to let people fall. Sometimes we need to let the children fall so they learn how to walk, and they learn what it feels like, what the experience is like to fall, to be in that space. I think a lot of mainstream is like, have compassion, let go of things, step up, be of service to other people. But at the expense of what? Right? What does being of service really mean? It does not mean that we should be a martyr, right? It does not mean that we need to sacrifice ourselves at the expenses of somebody else. We all have come here with our own tikkun, with our own lessons in empowerment, in self-discovery, in self-compassion, in learning love, in becoming the best versions of ourselves, right? We all come in here with this karmic baggage, right? Nobody is perfect. Everyone comes in with something, and we have to learn that on our own. We can be co-creating with other people as people are co-creating with us on our spiritual journeys, okay? But the minute we try to step in and overgive and become a part of somebody else's change, we're going to learn quickly, we can't we can't make people change. People only change when they are ready and they want to, when they have the right tools, when they have the right consciousness level, and that takes time. Everyone's on their own timelines to make the changes, okay? But if it drains you or it depletes you when you are stepping in and giving to work, a relationship, an environment, a project, okay, those are signs for you as a soul to stop before the resentment and the anger and the lack of energy starts to step in, okay? We're all meant to be channels of the light, channels of the creator, and you can have that infinite energy that you can get from source. Everyone, every single human being has this capacity, right? This capability. Think of something that you love to do that brings you so much joy, that brings you so much pleasure. Okay. It's not about giving to somebody else. It's purely about doing it for your own enjoyment, right? Something that really lights you up. Like I love to bake cookies. I love to bake chocolate chip cookies. It is therapy for me. It brings me so much peace. I don't know why. I can be creative. I don't follow recipes at all, which I know is like a baking no-no, but I just don't. I just wing it. And the cookies always come out magical because I'm channeling. Like I'm literally channeling the light because it's creative energy through me as a vessel. And my cookies come out fucking amazing. And then I give them away, because I'm a bodybuilder and oftentimes I can't have the cookies that I eat, but I don't do it for my own purpose of eating them at that point. The baking and the pouring the chocolate chips in and the different ingredients that I'll use and the mixing up of the recipes and like the smell of it and like obviously tasting the batter and like having a cookie is all a part of that enjoying experience. But then and that is the fulfillment and that is the light coming through me. But then everybody benefits around me because I'm giving my cookies away and then they are able to receive the love and the effort and the enjoyment that I put into that thing, right? And those are the things that we need to follow. This is why I knew being a professional companion had to come to an end for me because I was filled with so much pain, so much resentment, so much anger, okay? Because I knew that I was not helping my clients anymore and that I could help people on a bigger, greater capacity, that there was consciousness that I needed to pour into not only them, because I know many of them will be listening to this podcast and there'll be many hard truths to swallow. That companionship, yes, it is a stepping stone in the right direction for many people to heal. It was including myself, provider side and client side, but it is only the Band-Aid. And eventually that will become sour. And the real work has to begin, which is somebody on a personal journey, finding their own sense of empowerment through being a channel of the light and learning what it properly and spiritually means to feel aligned when you are giving and receiving in this world. Okay. So what I want to end off is if you find yourself in a moment, which many people in the world will because of the energetic transits and the energetic shifts that we're experiencing on the planet right now. Okay. If you find yourself spiritually imbalanced, if you find yourself energetically imbalanced in this giving and receiving relationship dynamic going on, withholding from giving, as difficult as it can be, especially when you love something or someone so much, like for instance, my business as a companion, so much love for that part of my life, so much love for the experiences it gave me, the clients that I met, the wonderful people that I met, putting a roof over my head, putting food in my fridge, giving me the resources for this business now, right? As much love as we can have for something, a person, your partner, you're breaking up with your partner because they can't meet your needs and you're overextending yourself so much, right? Sometimes withholding is the art of giving because you pulling back and preserving your energy is not only loving yourself and giving to yourself, okay, because you're choosing to not drain yourself of your own essence, of your own light, of your own ability to be a channel, because we can only give when we are channeling, when we are feeling that joy and that vibration, that fulfillment, okay? sometimes holding back not only is giving to yourself, but it is giving to the other person, place, thing, or environment, because you're now allowing them to step into their own power and to learn their own spiritual lessons and to make their own choices. Okay. So I hope this episode helped everybody. Thank you for being here. I wish you all a wonderful week. I hope that you can step into your own personal power and remember that the spiritual growth is for you. Giving to yourself is the most important part, most important piece of all of this. Okay. And that the light of the creator is always within you. The universe is always with you. It always has your back. And remember, the intention is that giving and receiving should elevate both parties involved. And it must support the soul growth of both parties involved. So anyway, I love you guys all. Lots of love and light. I will see you guys soon.